How are your grandchildren?
They're fabulous.
How old are they?
Oh, two of them almost 16.
Wow.
The grandsons, my grandsons. And then two of them 8 last week, and then one 7.
And has that, how have you found that? I know people who say that it's the greatest thing because all that you learned the first time around or felt like you did wrong with your own kids, you get to not only redo, but sort of watch your own child. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fabulous. They're incredible teachers. I love this story. One of my grandsons, when he was just like 2, maybe 3 years old, I guess more like 2.5, but he fell down and scraped his knee, and there was a little bit of blood, and he looked up at me, this little guy, and he started crying, and I looked at him. I said, "Honey, are you remembering when you hurt yourself?" And he just got it. It's like, it's not happening now.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over.
Let's not torture ourselves with that.
Yeah, and he just went on about his business. And just, it's like when we're screaming, we teach that is the way.
I know.
And then when we learn, doesn't matter what powerful teachers we are in that area, when we learn another way, it's like it doubles as far as, or quadruples as far as teaching goes, and the power of that, because it's just so it's true to all of our hearts.
Sometimes people say that I'm screaming at them, and I don't feel I am. I feel like I'm talking loudly. Like, I don't think I'm screaming. I'm like, when I'm right, because I am often. I don't know if you're aware of that. When I'm right and I'm sort of loudly saying what my opinion is about this, don't yell at me. I'm like, I'm not yelling at you. Well, yeah, no, maybe you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the first things that Tracy said when I met her was something that is sort of the foundation of what you teach in the work, is, she said, why do you keep telling yourself the story that your mother died when you were 10? And I had never even contemplated that was, she said, you have had so many other defining moments in your 48 years, but the one that you keep returning to, that you tell over and over again, is the suffering that happened as a result of your mother's death. And it was the beginning of getting to this, I think.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Who would you be if you didn't believe that story, right?
Yeah. So your mother died. Is that true?
Yes.
Your mother died. How do you react? What happened when you think that thought? From that moment, look at your life from that moment all the way up. How do you react? What happened when you believed the thought? Your mother died.
I feel abandoned. I feel unlovable. I feel not worth staying for.
So your mother died. Who would you be without the thought? Your mother died. And I'm asking you, it's like, I'm not asking people not to believe. I mean, of course your mother died. That's your reality.
Right.
So it's not about believing or not believing. It's just for a moment, that fourth question. Imagine yourself from that moment all the way up. Start with that moment when you found out, when you understood she died. Who would you be without the thought, my mother died? What would your life look like without that thought?
Much less suffering, I can tell you that right now.
So look at the little girl. You're 10 years old. Where were you when you found out?
My friend Jackie's.
Okay, and who told you?
Well, Jackie's mother told me to go home, and I knew that something was wrong because she never told me to go home. Mm-hmm. So I knew in my head right then, I'm like, she's dead. And then I went to my house, and there were like 20 cars in the driveway. I'm like, she's dead. Mm-hmm. And then my father sat us at the kitchen table and said, your mother passed away. Mm-hmm. And then the grown-ups started to scream. Mm-hmm. And then I feel as though chaos descended.
Okay. So now, without a story, who would you be without your story? Being in that room with everyone screaming without the thought, my mother died. Just witness it. You see you? Are you sitting at the table?
Yeah.
Okay, look at you. Are you okay? I mean, other than what you're believing, are you okay?
Yeah. I'm in shock, but I'm okay.
No, not even in shock, because those are thoughts. Thoughts, what you're believing, create shock.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
And is your father okay, other than what you are believing?
Yeah.
Okay, so everything's okay. Other than what you're believing, everything's okay. And Rosie, this is so important to understand. With the story, suffering; without the story, no suffering. So how can your mother's death be the problem? How can your mother's death be the cause of your suffering? It's what you were believing about her, about your father, about you, that created, all the suffering for that little girl. Because she's sitting at the table, other than what she's believing, she's fine. Okay, it's just good to know what creates the suffering. That, it wasn't my mother's death that created the suffering. It's what I was believing. So, your mother died. Turn it around.
My mother didn't die.
Okay, so give me an example of how she lives.
In who I am.
And more specifically?
And my love of theater and my desire to perform and my, charisma and my physical face, which looked like hers, and my,
I do.
My children and the way I parent in some ways. And,
yeah. And your genetics. I mean, you talked about those too, but yeah. And also, as we talk about her, you see an image of her?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what does that image look like? What's she doing?
Cleaning, usually.
Yeah. That's yours. It's
right.
A visit.
Right.
People see those images and then they become very sad. And without your story, there's your mom. She's cleaning. She is, look at her.
Right.
If you're in the kitchen and your mom's in the bedroom, she exists only in your mind anyway.
Right. Right.
So nothing shifted other than, what you're witnessing now. That's the creator of all the suffering. So my mother died. Can you find another turnaround?
I died?
Yeah, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole